Hello and welcome to another episode of GozPod. This is a follow-on from the last one regarding the new online security regulation in the UK, though I'm sure in light of recent events we might deviate slightly from that. This time with me I have ex-member of Goz and you'll know him well, Leraje.
Hail Satan.
I have Pike.
Hail Satan.
I have Kylar.
Hail Satan, hi.
And I have K.
Hail Satan.
And I'm Lithos. Hail Satan. So, we kind of left the last one because we could have gone on for ages. And just to give us a chance to think about the subject and come up with questions. And I know that in the meantime, Leraje, you have been in touch and you had a couple of thoughts. Do you want to kick us off here?
Some of the things I sort of noticed was the subject of what the Online Safety Act could do to smaller and independent websites and non-corporately controlled websites. And it's had a fairly bad effect on them, quite a lot have closed. There's a site called onlinesafetyact.co.uk and it's got an in memoriam section and it's got a list of approaching 20-ish websites that have had to close or feel like they've had to close because of the Online Safety Act. Now, the reason this has happened is because the Act itself is so broadly, non-specifically and badly written that it basically includes, or can include, if people chose to, every website in the entire world. And that includes things like, the sites that have closed are things like forums. And they're not particularly bad forums. There's nothing wrong with them. There's like, for example, one of the forums that's closed was based around the subject of caring for your hamster. There's another one that was a cycling group. There's a couple of football club fan websites, Wrexham FC and Sunderland FC, both had large fan web forums that have had to close. Now, whether they literally had to close is a matter for debate, but they felt they had to because the Act is so badly written and so wide-ranging in what it can do, they could theoretically be liable to prosecution.
Yeah, and we could have seen this coming, whoever drew up the Act could have seen this coming. And still, I mentioned this last time, things like Blue Sky, for certain content, you'll get a warning coming up. Can you identify as an adult? However, if you use third-party apps, it doesn't do that. So I use an app called Skeets to get in, and there is no age verification because it goes via a third party. And I'm sure that will be the case with other apps as well. So it's a fail in every which respect you can think of, really.
Yeah, my concern is that for those of us old enough on this on this episode to remember it, the web prior to 2006, when social media started to get really popular, was really good. It was, it was full of weird and strange little corners and areas of interest, and it was largely maintained by hobbyists, people who were non-professional experts in a particular subject or area. And that was one of the great things about the web. And that at that point in time, it really did bring people together from all over the world. And that is very much under threat, that kind of like backbone of the modern web, the ability to sort of like just have some kind of fun away from all the bullshit. It worries me. It really worries me.
Yes, it is. If you're corporate large enough, can afford to do the age verification. Yes, and again, another piece of legislation, that's an excellent point, another piece of legislation that favours the companies that have the money and size behind them, and if you're small, then you can get to fuck.
Well, this is it. It's not a trivial thing to set this up, both in terms of expertise and cost. Some companies, some websites, some whatever you want to call them, social media companies, have got around this by outsourcing it to a third party you mentioned a minute ago, Blue Sky used, what were their name? Persona? Something like that? I can't remember. But there's this aspect of the sort of cost involved is prohibitive to hobbyists. It's prohibitive to people who just want a website. And there's also the side issue as well, is for those companies who have decided to do it in-house, like I believe X are doing, what the government are now asking us to do is they've said, hey, you can't trust these organisations. They do bad things with their algorithm, blah, blah, blah. But we also want you to verify your identity with them. How's that? Is that okay? Is it fuck? I mean, I don't want fucking Elon Musk knowing what my face looks like. You know, it's just the two positions are not reconcilable.
And actually, how is it going for X? Wasn't it one of you who recently shared an article from The Guardian about them using photographs of young girls for advertising?
No, that was Meta.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Just like, no, that was Meta. Oh. That's fine then.
Sorry, Park.
We forgive
we mix
Elon
up
Musk,
our,
then, fine.
We mix up our, multi-billionaire tech people who do shady things with underage girls. Yeah.
It's an honest mistake.
It's fine. I think it's very funny because like many people do the facial recognition software. I remember when the thing first came out, I know a lot of people were using like popular video games to kind of get around that, which I think is very funny. Like they would like point the camera at like the screen or whatever and use this game just to like get around it, or like at this point.
Yeah, I've seen a few people in various places say they've managed to get around, I think, Reddit's and I think Blue Skies just by going to an AI facial generation site, generating an AI picture of themselves and uploading that, which it just makes the thing even more farcical.
From my expertise in the area, one thing that I could see this becoming is like an arms race. All security things are an arms race, right? Where there are some technologies that are created and then there are vulnerabilities found in that technology that make it look farcical. And then there are improvements to that technology. And the arms race never stops. Like this video game thing, a trivial way around that means could be that in addition to requiring the actual picture of the face, you could require some form of detection of heat signature, which is possible with even basic phones, even though it's inaccurate. Basic phone cameras, even if it's inaccurate. But then you start implementing that, and then people go, oh, okay, so I just need to print out the picture and put a heater behind it, right? And you're going to start getting this arms race of more and more clever solutions to get around this. But in the meantime, there are a whole bunch of people who either don't want to be bothered or who don't know how to do this, who fall through the cracks. Those people tend to be non-motivated. In other words, they tend not to be the criminals or whatever, or the children. Children are highly motivated to get around age blocks on the internet. I know that as a child myself who had gotten around age blocks in order to play games, computer games that I wanted to play when I was younger. It's the people who are motivated are the ones who will find these, and the people who are not motivated, in other words, who the legislation was not targeting to begin with, are the ones who fall under it most. And that's how you know it's poorly designed.
Yeah.
I don't remember, unfortunately, I don't remember if you talked about this in the previous episode, but it kind of feels like this is more of like one of those legislations that are passed mostly for image reasons rather than an actual reason that is needed. Like, seems like it's kind of like a non-issue that they needed to fix, quote unquote, for the audio listeners, because they couldn't address some other issue, so they have to be like, no, it's all about online safety. And then
we did kind of mention that it wasn't, although it came into effect, most of it came into effect this year, it was actually conservative government legislation. It just took a while to come into effect. And of course, when this was being worked on, they were having all manner of different. Well, they couldn't even fucking keep a stable prime minister. They kept swapping them out. So, it's a good distraction. That's a good point. It is kind of a distraction. Look what we're doing. We're keeping the kids safe. Meanwhile, we're doing fuck all else. Maybe we might be voting for a new prime minister kind of thing. So I'm not saying that the current government isn't in a terrible state.
That's true.
Nah, we're doing so good. We're doing so good. We're doing so good. We're winning. We're winning a government right now.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Keir Starmer is so popular. I mean, there's flags of him everywhere. I saw they had a march recently, and all the people holding placards. We are Keir, and maybe that was a nightmare. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't understand why everybody sees like Keir Starmer, and then they say something about Kent. I don't seem to understand like what's the correlation in between the.
Slightly misheard that, but yeah.
No, I think also we need to consider also that like the government or whomever is doing this legislation kind of decides what can be considered adult content, which is like a very, very much a way to silence, queer people, and that's exactly like textbook 101. Oh no, we're protecting the kids, and as usual, like 2 men 2 women kissing, 1 trans person, it's considered sexual adult, and then it gets like limited, or there's some people that are like even like influencers, right? Trans influencers that they make the money but just by existing. And they're going to be basically like
that process
shadow
is
banned.
somewhat. Yeah, I mean that process is somewhat started already. Not necessarily with LGBTQIA people, but in a kind of like related sense. There's been reports that the Reddit sub Israel Exposed has been shadow banned for all UK users, things like that.
Surprised? So, I'm so shocked right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that for a fact because I'm not on Reddit, but it's certainly been reported, and I think what you've just said is probably who gets to decide who is the one who decides what's suitable and who it's suitable for.
That's kind of the thing about big legislation that applies to everyone, right? Is that it's impossible to enforce equally amongst all companies, all people, etc., because of budget restrictions or enforcement restrictions. So you get to selectively enforce. You get to choose who you're going to hit with a lawsuit or who you're going to investigate. And of course, it might be more politically favorable to investigate or shadow ban one group and less politically favorable to investigate or shadow ban another.
It's also like, it also like goes with personal biases as well. Like if we don't know, like we know for a fact that the people selected for this are absolutely not like people that are they have like all the populace best interests at heart. So like what are we doing here? Like, I mean, something similar is happening in America. Now they're basically using this excuse for not being, polite and whatever to silence everybody. So,
yes, indeed. And if we do have US listeners, we might have some advice on platforms to avoid at the moment, especially if you're discussing issues that are not favourable to the autocrat in charge and his idiot zombie followers. So Discord is definitely one. We're not saying chuck it, but you would probably not be well advised to discuss topics that are anathema to the US government on that platform. Would you suggest any others, Kay, that look like they're being at risk?
No. I was thinking that maybe it's best to avoid like any like particularly public platform where everybody can find whatever you're saying. Telegram, yes, absolutely, but like for example, even Facebook as well. I'd say avoid any Meta product. WhatsApp as well, since it's also Meta. Like, don't avoid them, but like if you want to express particular opinion about a very specific topic and you're like particularly fearful about having repercussions, like Signal, I think is the best you could do right now, which is like very well, you can chime in if you want.
Yeah, 100%. So if you don't mind me
No,
chiming in.
please go ahead.
Cool. So in general, I think even if it is a private message on a platform like Discord, don't do it. In the moment, the US is claiming, illegally or legally, it doesn't matter, wide amounts of authority in order to reach into and investigate anyone they damn well choose, even in violation of the Fourth Amendment, with recent Supreme Court rulings giving the government more power, even the ability to racial profile for certain types of investigations, like immigration investigations. So, in general, using any platform that is not end-to-end encrypted for any conversations that are critical of the government or anything that the government may not like is not a good idea for any American in the US at this moment. So yes, using more end-to-end encrypted platforms is a good idea, and there are multiple levels of safety here that you need to, you as the American listener kind of need to think about and decide what is right for you. There are centralized services, which are still a little bit more dangerous than other decentralized services. This is where things like Signal fit in, where they are end-to-end encrypted, but at the end of the day, there is one entity that controls the infrastructure in the back that could be pressured by a legal entity to change policies, where that changing of policy might even be invisible to the user, such as instead of just logging the when they signed up or what phone number they signed up, maybe they're going to start monitoring every username change or every single time the service is accessed and the metadata associated with every message, like when it was sent, etc. If not, since they're not able to get to the content. Then you have federated services. These are things like Matrix, Element, etc., where there are servers and you can choose which server to sign up to, which means you could choose to sign up for one that is outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, right? Of the problem. And then there are fully decentralized solutions. These are solutions where there is no server, period. Your device connects to someone else's device directly in order to communicate with them. There are things here like Briar, like Ricochet Refresh. Now, these tend to be not very used technologies. They tend to be incredibly niche and only used by the most privacy conscious, but they are solutions, and the best part about them is that there is no entity that the government can arrive to and pressure in order to even keep metadata, which, for those of you who don't know what metadata is, it is data about the data. So in other words, when it was sent, how big it is, who it came from, and who it's going to. There's no singular entity that can be forced to log these sorts of things because the connection is being made between two people. It's almost as if you have your own private courier passing letters directly from you to exactly the person you need to go to. Or you have a long tin can on a string directly to their house. So these are various levels of worrying and various levels of technology that you all might need to think about. But what I firmly recommend, sorry for hijacking this section, but what I firmly recommend for any American in the United States who is in any way against Trump, doing what's called threat modeling, looking up what threat modeling is and following some of the known steps for threat modeling to try to decide what is right for you. For those of you who are listeners to this and you need help, please reach out to me, and I will be happy to guide you through any threat modeling exercise you may need for your organization or even for you personally, subject to availability.
Can I ask a question about encryption? Can there be a change of policy whereby they decide that the information is not going to be encrypted anymore without it being obvious to the end users?
Depends on the service you're using. WhatsApp claim that their stuff is end-to-end encrypted, but WhatsApp is also closed source technology, which means no one but Meta know what the source code is. So they could change it and no one would ever know. Signal, Matrix Element, the solutions that Kay was talking about are open source. So what that means is that anybody in the world can have a look at, download, carefully examine the code that's used to do the encryption, or even send the data. That is better. It's still not perfect, but it's better. The best solutions are one that are also independently audited, as well as being open source, as well as being decentralized in some way. And this is what I was talking about earlier in terms of the technical costs that it has on people, because not everybody can do that. Not everybody has any interest. I mean, most people do not want to go to GitHub or Codeberg and pour through the source code of a Matrix app or an Element app. But another thing that you can do, as well as the excellent suggestions that Kay has done, is I would suggest joining some privacy forums. And they're not necessarily forums that are private. They are private. They are forums which discuss the subject of online privacy. You don't have to be an expert, but you can just sort of like hang and you can see the sort of apps that are recommended there. You can see the discussion. And a lot of the people that do frequent those forums are either professional experts or amateur experts, by which I mean, you know, they've done it for a long time in both sets of cases. They're usually coders themselves. They know what to look for.
Yeah, and the thing, and then this is something you mentioned on our first security podcast months ago, Kay, the thing about compartmentalization, which is very useful in this case, because in sort of panicking and closing down all your normal online accounts might actually make you look suspicious. So, you know, you don't necessarily need to close them all down. It's just compartmentalize. If you use them to talk to family about innocuous stuff and your holidays, fine. But don't talk about anything political on them. You know, yes, you can if you go, oh, I love Donald Trump, he's so great. But, you know, anything else, find somewhere safe to do it. So you have your platforms to discuss safe stuff. You have your platforms to discuss fripperies and nonsense with friends and family or whatever. Just don't be relying on, freedom of speech anymore. The freedom of speech only applies to one particular element in society at the moment.
Isn't it
like,
great that we all live in a
we
democracy?
warned people for years and years and nobody. It's almost like we said that it was going to happen, but right?
Yeah.
Well, luckily in the UK we don't have a problem with freedom of speech because we just had a big march for freedom of speech, and freedom of speech has been achieved.
Yes, we're all free now. We're all now free.
Oh,
we're all.
I did not get the memo, everybody. Well, how does that work? Do you get it? Do you get your freedom of speech card in the mail? How does it work?
Yeah. All you do is you hang up a flag of St. George out your window, and someone comes around and stamps your hand, and you are now free. That's exactly how it works. From, I don't know, nobody
cancel
really
culture,
knows.
Wokeness. Shit.
Oh my God! Sorry,
from the brain virus.
The woke.
Absolutely.
Obviously. Sorry,
because you know we saw all the victims of cancel culture who have been silenced by the left-wing Marxists,
victim of cancel culture, like
who took to the street in their thousands because they'd been cancelled. No, maybe they hadn't.
You know, the crowds that tend to do that aren't very big fans of things like vaccines, but like you can consider this a vaccine against wokeness.
Vaccine. Here's the question. Here's the very important question for me. You know, when I take my vaccines, I like to have like all the microchips and 5Gs I can get. So, in this vaccine against wokeness, is there any like 5Gs in it or any microchips or?
Well, the way to tell is if you can one day wake up and you hear Bill Gates' voice in your head.
Okay.
And you know. Yeah.
So, well, I have that already. So how does?
That's another subject entirely.
If the deep state tells you that the vaccine will prevent disease, then it's got a microchip in it, right?
Right.
And Jesus will never talk to you ever again.
Oh, no.
So, just make sure that it's not for any medical reason, the vaccine, because if it's for a medical reason, then obviously there's a microchip in it.
Ah, I see.
See?
I see. This is like levels. There's levels to this shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's all clearly logical and easy to follow.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you struggled with it before now.
No, you know what? Is my problem. I think I'm not informed enough. I'm not. Yeah. I don't have like the social consciousness. Some people say to understand that Illuminati and all that shit. Like
you just don't listen to enough.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate, and all of those.
Well, it is Andrew Tate. I love Andrew Tate. Like I have a poster in my room, as you can see. As you can see in my room, I have a poster of Andrew Tate right in my room.
For the audio listeners, there is no poster.
No, there is.
I don't have a poster. No, that's Krillin from Dragon Ball. You might be confused because they're both bald, but one of them actually contributes something to society. So...
Wait, the claim is that, well, you know what? I could see how Krillin contributes more to society than Andrew Tate, but man, Krillin contributes so little to society.
This pod has degenerated.
You take
Where are we going
It really
now?
has.
No, joking aside. Yeah, no, I think that like that's probably a very quote unquote good gambit the right wing did, like trying to use the freedom of speech essentially to just suppress all the other type of speech. Is not really a gambit because it's pretty much what they've always been doing, and what left leaning people tried to warn everybody else about, and it was like, oh no, but like it just is a couple of unsavory stuff, or but it's funny, especially with Trump when he was elected first time, and people are like, oh, but it's funny, it's just a meme, and now where we are in hell. So
that's when I ran. That's when I ran. I was like, that's when I got out of the US. I was like, hell no, I'm not staying here.
Yeah, you're not the only one I know that ran away after. It's not good.
I'm aware of someone, an American citizen, who left the US after Trump got elected for the second time.
Yeah.
And they have a trans child. And sadly for them, they elected to come to the UK to live.
Well,
I wish I had spoken to them. I could have warned them.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. It's better than the US.
For now.
In some ways, it's worse.
In some ways, it's worse. Yes,
on trans issues.
I don't know. I think
Depends
we're
on the
same.
state.
We're kind of on the same level on trans issues. I have friends that it happened. I think it was like some months ago. I have this friend that we were going together. We were going out, I think, to see a movie, and they told me like when they say in America, like here in the UK, they're very much more vocal about like calling you like in the streets, like hurling slurs at you in the streets rather than in the US, because in the US, they might think you might have a gun or something like that. So
I think it depends very much where they're from, because New Yorkers specifically, which is where I'm from, they don't hold back on anything. They will shout whatever they want whenever.
Sorry, just in New York always been described as the best place to live ever. Right?
I think it's traditional. I mean, the impression I've always got about the US is that it's kind of like the east and west coasts are not bad. It's the bit in the middle that's kind of like particularly problematic. All right, the huge, massive part in the middle.
You reckon it's the lack of ocean that makes them go insane, or is it like?
Yeah, they're too far away from salt water. That's what it is.
Yeah, makes sense.
So New York, I can't speak for California because I never lived in it, but New York is genuinely better than the vast majority of the interior. But New Yorkers by culture are also a lot more vocal. So whereas somebody in, say, the not deep South, but like on the edge of the South, might just like turn and whisper and say, oh, look at that person, blah, 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 blah. New Yorkers, they might not know you, but they're going to be like yelling at you and they could yell a slur. And that.
Hey, I'm walking here.
I was gonna say that. I was like fighting for my life to hold back the, hey, I'm walking here. But I couldn't like.
So that is, when I am angry, that is the accent that comes out. It's rather funny. But for example, I went to a Catholic school in New York City, and towards the end of high school, I started spending a lot of time with one of my friends. The rumors started coming out that I was gay, and so fellow classmates just threw a rock at me. Now, you don't think that happens in New York, but it does. And to a certain extent, I mean, it doesn't happen as frequently, perhaps, it's a rock in New York. In Texas, it would be a gun and someone would have shot me in the head, right? So there's different levels, but it's complicated. It's complicated.
I think for your friend, like right now, the friend with the trans child we were talking about earlier, Leraje, Norway. It's very cold, but it's very nice. I've been told anyway.
In their defence, this was before the awful Scottish wizard lady funded that huge legal thing.
Which I think it's insane, by the way. I think that's that's why I think we're not in the real world, but we are like in a capitalistic novella, because that kind of stuff does not happen in real life. Because I feel like we're in the bad parts of RoboCop. You know what I mean? The boring parts of RoboCop. You know what I mean? Like there's not even robots and stuff like that. There's just boring capitalism that kills everybody. Like,
we're in an Ayn Rand novel.
Oh God, no!
No,
please, not even as a joke. Not even as a joke.
I was teaching a class on computer science and ethics the other day, and it was about all of the different ethical frameworks, and I got to ethical egoism, which is the ethical framework where basically, if it's good for me, it's ethical, and if it's bad for me, it's not. Very Ayn Rand, very like inspiring of
might is right.
Might is right.
Right.
That's kind of like the culture that we developed. Like,
yeah. And one of the students unironically raised their hand and said, yeah, that's how capitalism works. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have this world. And of course, I'm not allowed to like push back super hard with my viewpoint because that's a professor, But thankfully, some other student in front was like, yeah, but we live in a society. And that society can't run like that. That would be the end of us all. And so those two students were just going back and forth at each other. And I'm like, oh, God, I want out. I just want out. And this is in Portugal, right? This isn't in like some superly... Well, Portugal, if the more recent polls are to be believed, is going to be fascist controlled after the next elections. And in this moment, it is not... and yet we still get this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So good. It's so good to see like every country is turning to fascism. It's so good, so fun. Totally makes me want to scream in. God damn it! I'm from Italy, right? So I can see like everyone say, "Well, I'd see like some Italian politics," and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, stop.
Well,
at this point, I would have rather had Berlusconi. At this point, I would have rather had Berlusconi. Like at this point, you can like.
Yeah, it's a thing with fascists. They don't think they are fascists. They.
No, here's the thing. I think they know
to know what that means.
I think they know they are. They want to be, but they can't concede to you that they are. There's a difference.
Yeah, no, that's probably more accurate actually.
Because they know they are. You know, it's not like if you say fuck fascist and you know they get like they get butthurt about it. They'll be like, "What do you mean fuck fascist? Oh, so much for the tolerant left." They means that they know they're being targeted, so they do identify as fascist, but they can't concede to you that they are, because if they are, you can say, "Oh, but you're fascist." You know, like
there's. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was just saying that basically, like, fascism, it's all about like distorting and contorting and corrupting, like, God damn it, I lost the term. I had it in rhetoric. So just kind of like to make sure, like, trick people into either being silent or like not being able to call them out properly or convince other people to join them. It's all up. That's what they are.
Yeah. One of the big issues that I have, so by the Portuguese constitution, fascist parties are legally not allowed to exist, which I think is wise for literally any constitution to have. The only problem is that the constitution then does not go on to define fascism, which means it's inherently unenforceable. And I think that's a lot of the issue that we run across with this too. Nobody defines what fascism means. I would argue, to tie us back to this Online Safety Act, that a lot of the motivations behind it can fall under some forms of definitions of fascism. Not all of them, but some of them. I would certainly say now I'm going to have to take a second to look up the different formulations of, there are like 3 branches as per the one of the most accepted definitions of fascism that are used in order to determine. It is Payne's definition, I believe. It is 3 concepts: anti-liberalism, anti-communism, and anti-conservatism. Fascist goals is the creation of a nationalist dictatorship, transfer social, and then fascist style, political aesthetic of romantic symbolism, mass mobilization, and a positive view of violence, promotion of masculinity, youth, and charismatic authoritarian leadership. As per these 3, anti-liberalism, not talking about economic liberalism, but the very idea of liberty, is very much behind a lot of the ideas behind the Online Safety Act. There's the idea of the government is already stating at what age. If we assume that the government is going to label every LGBTQ plus thing as mature content, which I have no doubt that is an eventuality, the government is making the decision for parents, basically, what their children should be able to access. They are making decisions for the 16 and 17-year-olds who are not technically adults, but are basically almost there, what they are allowed to know about their future, especially if they fall into these communities. That is, in and of itself, inherently anti-libertarian, again, not in the economic sense, but in the liberty sense. And I noticed that in countries around the world, there's a swing towards more authoritarian control of people's lives legislation. In the EU, we have chat control, which is likely to pass, where the European Union is going to mandate scanning of all end-to-end encrypted messengers, all messages before they are encrypted, in order to determine whether or not the content is likely to be illegal. And while their motives are very, very good, at least the ones that they state, that is an incredibly authoritarian measure for what they are attempting to achieve. And it concerns me because it is a part of a worldwide push, even if unintentional, towards fascism.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that discussion with people who aren't necessarily interested in the subject, especially as it relates to end-to-end encryption. And I've said what I said to them to try and get them to understand the implications of it is, how would you feel about a government agent permanently listening to every phone call that you make? How would you feel about a government agent permanently being able to see the contents of every letter that you're sent before you see it? Because that's essentially what we're talking about. And there's also this idea that, all right, so this is being ostensibly done to protect the children. Well, most child abuse happens in a child's home. Should we put cameras up in everybody's homes? I mean,
don't give them ideas. Please don't give them ideas.
Well, I know you're right, but it's.
I think
it's the incongruity of what they say they want to achieve and what they're actually able to achieve, and how these things, child abuse isn't going to stop because end-to-end encryption suddenly has backdoors in it. It's just a bullshit idea, and end-to-end encryption doesn't drive child abuse. Adults abusing children is what drives child abuse. So, pass legislation, they'll tackle that.
If I may, I think that using children as like a shield to whatever criticism, it's like something that is not only used for like this or cameras or restrictions, but it's something that they use for abortion as well. I don't think that like if you point contradiction, I don't think they're gonna be like, oh no, I'm defeated, because at the end of the day, even like consider like the abortion thing, like you can tell them like, oh, but like this is a life and whatever, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, fine. So like, are you gonna care for this life that comes into the world? And in that moment, those people disappear completely. Like they're pro-life, as in they're against giving the choice. So saying like, oh, do you want cameras in the house? And just they'll be like, to protect the children. Yes, this and more. So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of a moot point with this kind of argument, like
Yeah, to be clear, I don't think we should put cameras in people's houses, but I'm just trying to point out the fact that what they say they want to achieve is different from what is actually achievable.
Absolutely.
By doing these things.
I mean, and the constant use now of we're doing this for the children thing is you're not saying, oh, because there was one child abuser who came in as an immigrant somewhere, you've got to send them all back, because by that logic, we should have sent every single priest back to the fucking Vatican because there were a couple of child abusers amongst them.
Don't you know, whenever something bad happens, it's a representative of the whole demographic only if it's a minority. Otherwise, it's fine. It's just one bad case.
Absolutely.
It doesn't. Yeah, if it's a white guy shooting up a school, whatever, it's fine, whatever. But if it's a trans person, all trans people are bad.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
or as we know, you have to very, very quickly try to find a link between that white guy and a trans person, so you could blame the trans people.
Yeah.
Oh, was
even
that
if one
reference
doesn't
to
really
something
truly
that's
exist.
happening? Was that reference to something that's happening now? No.
Nope.
I wish the viewers, I hope the viewers are familiar with the term. I think it's pronounced Gyoper, which is a term that's been thrown around a lot recently, especially.
This listener is not familiar with that term.
Exactly. It's basically, how do I say this in the most concise way possible? They're a fan of like this specific media personality, which is called Nick Fuentes, which are like super Nazis, but they're Nazis ironically, but also not. It's complicated. They have like layers of irony and post-irony, which it's.
So they're basically fucking 4chan users on drugs.
Yes.
That's a good viewpoint or mental model to have of it. Absolutely. I had a friend a long time ago. I wouldn't be surprised if nowadays he fell into that rabbit hole, but he was an Indian who was ironically white supremacist, where over time that irony faded away and he just became a white supremacist, but he's Indian.
Boy, I'm sorry.
And I don't know how that works in his head. But the way that he would mask it is a lot through meme culture, which is how these fans of Nick Fuentes frequently do the same.
Because memes are easier to understand. Memes are like, are basically propaganda posters, but they have a much widespread way of like going around. And also memes, something like sometimes people kind of believe them. They don't fact check memes, right? You know that there's like this meme that the left-wing memes are all full of text, because usually left-wing people, they don't tend to like spread misinformation around, while right-wing people, they do a meme like with the little Chad face, you know, the one like on the side with like the beard, and it goes like, vaccine had microchips in it, and they don't even question it. They just be like, okay.
Yeah.
It's easier to like spread misinformation like that. That's why meme culture is so big in these circles.
Should we try to pull back to the Online Safety Act, or should we just like admit defeat and go, we've lost the thread?
Well,
I think this is actually we could bring back to the online safety by saying that this is not the kind of content that is being like controlled, right? So like this is like this kind of like rabbit holes are so easy to get into. And so like the alt-right pipeline, it's something that exists. It's been proven, that been checked very many times. It's very easy. And this is not the content that gets controlled.
No. There's also the fact that as well that the Online Safety Act, I think, was seen by a lot of world governments as a kind of like test tube case. And now, like you said earlier, Kay, chat control looks like it's going to pass this time. There's various bits of legislation popping up in Australia, in various states of the US, that kind of very closely mimic the technological controls that the ISA is trying to introduce. So the Online Safety Act really is, in that sense, a kind of like almost a precursor to what might become the norm everywhere.
Which to me is astounding, because that means that politicians are even minimally looking at the UK and going, this is going well.
Yeah. Well, but from their perspective, it is going really well.
I could not imagine how. Like, the technology is consistently broken, does not work, and it is obvious, becoming more and more obvious that this is unenforceable. And yet they are looking at it going, yeah, you know, you can pass this. And I'm reasonably sure that their bar for that is, well, was Parliament burnt down? Do we have a Nepal on our hands? If not, then it's working.
Yeah. But I think, I do take your point, but not every government is as technologically dumb as the UK's government. I mean, I'm not saying they're bright, but there are governments out there that are that are a lot more tech savvy and would be able to implement a variation of the OSA that actually is technically achievable.
I don't think so.
I don't believe it. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna call it out now, Leraje. I am so sorry, but to me, like, do you know Star Wars? Do you know like the alien spaceship? That is the level of sci-fi we're operating here, I think. Yeah. To what you said.
I agree with this. So if we start, I think I mentioned this last time a little bit, and I'll try to go through it a little bit faster this time. If we start with the understanding that China has the most advanced firewall and therefore the most advanced enforcement policy or enforcement technology that one could have for these sorts of things, and even they fail to do something as simple as block Tor. True. Right? Then what chance does a bunch of morons in other countries who have no idea how tech works have in order to even know how to scan messages or to even know how to verify age it digitally?
To be
it's
fair,
not something that's been done.
To be fair, I do love a good underdog story.
We're still the underdogs. I'm going to just reinforce that we are still the underdogs.
Yeah.
Let's make sure I was being ironic, everybody, please.
I guess I agree with you both that it's that maybe, you know, there's a good chance I'm wrong about their capabilities. But I think we are heading in such an authoritarian direction that their lack of technical ability could be backed up with police powers to...
Yes.
I mean, in the UK, it is already completely legal to ask people to unlock their phones so they can be examined. That's a possible way that these things could be enforced.
Yeah. In the US, in order for people to get a visa, you must turn every single social post that you have public in order to even be considered for a visa in this moment.
Really?
So yeah, it is. Yes.
God damn.
I had a student of mine who is currently in a university in the eastern United States doing a small stay there, and they had to put all of their social media, everything public, to be inspected by immigration authorities in the United States. So
This is, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is
bad.
so fucked.
I have
Yes.
heard from academics in the UK that when they're sent for work to the US, they are given a clean laptop, clean phone to take with them.
And I think that's one of the things that we're going to have to start doing. We need to learn how to rely on technology a little bit less, or start switching to technology that is amnesiac. In other words, technology that does not leave traces on our individual devices.
Burner for doing a comeback in the Big 25, apparently.
Yeah, honestly. So maybe that's a whole hour subject itself of how can you do... I would love an OPSEC, like a more technical, in-depth like OPSEC presentation. I don't think a podcast really fits for it because you got to be able to show stuff. Podcasts
You can always do it on
for
YouTube.
showing stuff, but that might be something that I'd be interested in doing as long as I don't have to show my face. A little bit of an OPSEC guide.
Yeah, you can put
That's
like
nice.
your hands, like gloves, and you can start showing bits and pieces, or you can just screen record and stuff like that.
Yep. I need a mask that is ridiculous. Like
Get what's the mask that everybody's doing? Get the Guy Fawkes mask.
Oh, V for Vendetta, yeah.
Yeah, that could work, but it feels a bit cliche.
Get a Guy Fawkes
well-
mask and remove the mustaches.
Ugh,
Just have the soul patch.
no,
Just
weird.
the soul patch. Yeah, or just like subtly mess with the proportions so that the eyes are like drifting.
Just like
This is-
very subtly do it that looks weird, so people they're gonna have just a comment being like, "Why does it look so weird? What's wrong with
Yeah.
this?"
I tried paying attention, but something's wrong with your face.
Just wear a John Cena mask because no one can see him.
Oh yeah, that's a good
Oh
point.
boo! Oh, boo.
Why don't we just hire John
Oh,
Cena to
boo.
do it?
Oh, boo! That is such a low hanging fruit, Elijah. You just got it from the ground. That you had to use a shovel.
Look, no one ever accused me of being highly original.
You could do a cross between a V for Vendetta mask and a scary movie mask.
Yeah.
You know, with the stoned
Now we're
eyes.
talking.
Do you mean
Now we're
do you mean the ghost face mask, or like specifically when he makes like the funny face where he's like doing like the smiley face?
I like that one best, but I think that's down to K in the end.
God. I have so many jokes that I could make, but I shouldn't because recent events. So we're just gonna.
How about this? How about this? As soon as the podcast stop recording, you can make all the jokes you want. I promise you, I
our
won't
listeners
report
miss
you.
out. Then our listeners miss out. No.
No, that's fine. You know, there's a lot of jokes you could make, but the real jokes that could get you arrested are the friends we made along the way, I think, at this point.
Yes.
And that's all I can say on the matter. Otherwise, I'm gonna...
Now who's picking up low-hanging fruit, eh?
Here's the thing. I can't say those things. I'm gonna get arrested if I say what I think, Leraje.
But yeah, having an OPSEC kind of follow-up to this. Hey, listeners, this is my first time talking to you directly. If you're interested in that sort of thing, please send an email to let us know, and it's something that we will consider. Sorry, Lithos, I just made your job harder.
No, that's okay. No fucking emails us anyway.
I'm gonna wipe your sweat off your brow, Lithos, for putting like a email in the description That's gonna be so hard for you.
It's in the description every time. No one sends emails. We've got listeners, come on. Let's have some
Send
action
us
here.
emails.
Let's have some emails. Send us emails.
Tell us how your day went. Just send us
Yeah,
all
exactly.
pictures of pets.
Just don't send something saying you're all sinners and you'll burn in hell, because we know that already.
We already know that.
And we'll make fun of you. We'll on air make fun of you.
Also, we'll wait for you there.
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll be there. You'll be there.
I always say to people when they say, "Oh, you're going to burn in hell," it's like, yeah, but I'm going to be on the right end of the pitchfork.
I do enjoy George Carlin's take on it, which is like your grandparents are for sure in hell.
What'd you say?
Oh, George Carlin, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Your grandparents are for sure in hell. Imagine your grandma in hell baking pies without an oven.
How do you do it without an oven?
Well, you're in hell.
Okay.
Traditionally,
So
it's
it's
quite
burning.
warm in hell.
Yeah, but like, is there part of the punishment that she can't use the oven, or like she has to use? I like to think that Satan has some sense of sense of humor. So it wouldn't be an oven; it would be like something like you have to cook a pie in a pan or something like this. That would make it very hard, something very stupid.
I think it's more about the ambient heat around baking the cake automatically or baking the pie automatically without the need of any external structure.
You know, now I feel silly.
I can't believe we've got onto discussing the practicalities of baking pies in hell.
Because there's one big elephant that we can't talk about this month.
I know. And we're doing well. This is us doing well.
So anyway,
Yes.
what about this baking pie in hell? Would you reckon? Because depends. Because if you think about Dante's version of hell, it depends how low your grandma is. Because as you know, hell gets colder by the more down you get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If your grandma is in like the bottom circle of hell, she's not gonna be able to bake pies.
Some pies can be chilled.
Those are pies that
Yeah,
do not
but-
want to eat. Then I'm joking.
If she started at the bottom level and worked her way up, she could do a baked Alaska.
If she started from the
Hey.
bottom level and she would go her way up, wouldn't she be in purgatory?
Hello and welcome to Cooking with Satanists. And today on our show,
So get some cyanide, put it in a cake, and just fucking. No, but
When you get eternally damned to the lakes of hell, please remember to take an air fryer with you.
They're in high demand, and we're missing some.
You can take my soul, Satan, but you can't take my hair fryer.
Never take my air fryer.
no, not the ninja.
And then you go to hell, and you realize like you do have the air fryer, but you don't have anywhere else to plug it in.
Are you saying that hell is without power source?
No, I'm saying that Satan specifically, you were like, yes, you can keep your air fryer, but you don't have any sockets to put it in.
Oh no, that's just evil.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's very old Harry's game.
Yeah.
I think. Look, Satan, I'm gonna be unemployed soon. If you're looking for somebody who designed the like tortures, I'm your gal. I'm here. Give me a call. Send an email, and give me a job.
Run, Satan, run for your life.
I think Satan at this point is probably a little bit more focused on getting together the resistance forces that are needed in order to push back against all the shitty ideas that we have on this planet.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, I thought you were going to say podcast then.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh
Could be.
no!
I don't see why not, honestly. I could see like Satan be like, this fucking podcasters, there's so many, I can't fucking stand them anymore. They keep coming in droves, I don't know how.
They can't even keep a solid line of thought.
Or like
Indeed.
simply my ass.
We have deviated from the subject of online safety
think?
to to cooking, to cooking with Satan. I think this is a good point to draw a line on drink because we're just over an hour. Yes,
I hope you've all learned something today.
We have all learned something today. We indeed have.
I learned something today. Maybe the Online Safety Act was the right thing to do.
Boo! Boo!
Get out!
I don't know. Like, I feel like after saying like how bad it was and everything, you'd be like, that's person like, you know what? All in all, I think the Online Safety Act was a good idea.
God save Keir Starmer.
Yes, indeed.
I hope Keir Starmer steps on a Lego.
I doubt you'd notice a difference in his facial expression. He permanently looks these days like he's actually trying to shit a Lego.
Have you seen Trump? He looks purple. Like earlier, you've been referring to zombies he's controlling. I think like him himself looks like a lich. I don't know, like
a what?
A
lich?
A leech. Like like in D&D, you know, like the one that controls the Lich King. Is that a
Lich King would be from World of Warcraft, but Lich in general is very, very prevalent in D&D.
Thank you.
It is like very, very high level undead that has achieved immortality and is capable of controlling and raising other
You know what? I
bodies.
changed my mind. He's not a leech.
No, let's not give him that power. He's got enough.
No,
mind.
in order to be a Lich, I think you need to have a super high intelligence.
Oh,
so he's disqualified.
Yeah,
he's out.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
out.
Absolutely.
We do definitely need to draw a line here because if we're getting on to D&D, the sort of role-playing game podcast universe is rammed to the rafters. There are so many podcasts.
That's a dangerous subject with these two on as well. We'll still be talking about this.
Can you
tomorrow.
hear me, Brandon Lee Mulligan? I am coming for you.
Matt Mercer, join our
Fucking
podcast.
Right, folks. Let's wrap it up and say our goodbyes and thanks. As always, thank you for listening. And as you well know, if you're a regular listener, the deviation is absolutely par for the course. But I am going to say thank you for listening. Hail Satan from me, Lithos, Leraje.
Hail Satan. Goodbye.
Pike.
Hail Satan.
K.
Hail Satan.
And Kylar.
Hail Satan. And if you want to cook a cake in hell, remember to not bring an oven.
Our usual thanks to friends of the podcast, Matt and the guys from Hearst Pileup for letting us use their music as our theme tune. Why not check them out on Bandcamp? And while you're at it, why not check out our compilation, the proceeds of which go to charity, and it's called Contra Odium from the Satan Not Hating campaign. As usual, if you have any comments or you'd like to suggest topics for future episodes, please email us at gospod@ghostsatan.com. That's GOSPOD at GOSATAN.com. And in the meantime, be well, hail Satan, and thank you for listening.
Don't make me laugh.
Okay, we're here. Right. Ready to go? Right. Quick intro. Okay. Once we stop laughing, and let's not laugh. Come on, that's disrespectful. We could lose our jobs here.
I'm not in the US anymore.
Too late, fuckers. Am I? Oh, yeah, sorry. God almighty.